Hey, folks! Thank you for stopping by Kaiser's Castle. Take a seat on my big orange couch. Grab yourself a coffee, tea, soda, or adult libation. Thank you for all stopping by. Today is a good treat. I have Baz and Kate, as you can all see, and we'll hear soon on the show. During the silliness, I thought we would talk about the new silliness. I'm sorry, not the virus silliness, but the retardation of burning cities. So we thought we'd cover a little something that's a little practical for everybody. Remember, we make the tactical practical. And with that being said, Baz, Kate, introduce yourself to the folks that may not know you.
Ladies first, Kate.
Kate's gone all silent on us.
Yeah, she went quiet for a sec.
Okay. My name's Kate, and for those who don't know me, I am an expert at nothing. I know very little, but what I do know, I like to share. I like to live in the woods. I like to do bushcraft and survival.
Baz, it's all you.
Outstanding. She likes to
Yeah.
take daisy breaks like me and Baz. So, Baz, you're up, brother.
Yeah, I've done a few shows with Shuffy before. You might have heard me over the past sort of like 12 to 18 months do shows with Shuffy on a number of things. Again, same as Kate, I don't profess to be an expert in anything. I've done quite a lot in the ways of sort of military service and things like that. Currently working overseas. And again, I enjoy survivalism. I like being in the outdoors, and I don't think that's ever going to change.
Okay, Shafi.
Of course, brother, and that's how I am too. And what I'll say about this is that intro music was by Axion Ghost, as well as the outro will be. The intro was It's Game Time. That's why you heard the fan. I am an expert on absolutely fucking nothing, even though the government says I am, on a couple things. But I do know one thing. What I know, I'm an expert on my own opinion. So that's what you get on this show. Just our own opinions. Take it or leave it. Everybody trying to play expert. I'm fed up with it. With that being said, on to the show, Kate. Your first picture is on your rig. So if you want to explain it, I will pop it up in the photos now.
What my rig is called a leg bag. It's a thigh bag.
It's kind of like a fanny pack, only it's on your thigh and not around your waist. I do that because I already have so much stuff around my waist that if I had another belt on there, it probably would not fit. This is not a purse. You can wear it on the waist, but the pouch is not heavy. It's very, very light. Each compartment has something inside of it. This is my everyday carry bag, just like you have an everyday carry pistol somewhere on your body, or you should, or if you do not do that and you do prefer not to, that's fine too. But I have a pen and a memo book in this little pouch. That way I can leave notes. For example, with all of these riots that's going on, if I happen to be in a big city and there's a riot coming up and I need to get out of my rig really quick, I have this bag on. I don't have to grab anything. I can just go. Everything is already in this bag that I need to make it home. I can make it home. In this bag, I have at least 24 to 48 hours worth of survival food, depending on how much I want to eat. The pen and the memo book that is in there, I can leave a note. I can leave messages. I can jot down telephone numbers. I can jot down codes of certain people that I know in certain cities, that if there's a note that needs to be left, I can write it in code, leave the note, and go on. And
Talking about when you talk about codes and leaving a note, you already have prearranged drop spaces. That's old spycraft, folks, if you don't know.
Absolutely.
Where it's somebody's fence post that doesn't quite fit, but they don't realize they get notes left there, or film or whatever.
Yeah.
So this is old school shit you're getting right now.
The old dead letter box system.
Exactly.
and even though I carry a tactical and bushcraft knife on my person somewhere, I always have a bear claw in my bag. If someone is stupid enough to get close enough to me, I can use that bear claw without using any of my other weapons and giving those positions away if someone is watching. And no, I'm not paranoid, but if you are trained in any way, bushcraft or otherwise, you always assume someone or something is watching you, because in the bush, you are low on the food chain.
Oh yeah, and there's another thing that there's the rule of two. One is none because you might lose it. Two is one because if you lose it and you have a second
Correct.
one, you have an additional one.
Correct. In the top pouch, I always have at least 5 $20 bills. That is not including my everyday cash or my grocery money or anything like that. That is my emergency fund money. You always need to have low currency funds, especially in the United States, because if you have high currency funds, that raises eyebrows and people stare at you when you try to purchase something. But if you have $20, $10, $5 bills hanging around, you can purchase something really quick, get out and go. In the large pouch,
and not raise eyebrows. That's the important thing.
correct. In the large pouch that goes against my leg, there's a mesh on the inside of the pouch that makes sure that your leg does not sweat, so you can carry this pouch. I carry this pouch in the bush with me all the time. My hands are free, my waist is free, my waist belt is free. I have 4 basic survival items in there, which is a main food package MRE, which is a meal ready to eat. For those who don't know, I can break that down into 2 meals if I need to. That has enough calories to sustain me. I'm not a very large person. I'm tall, but I'm not very large. I always have something for fire: food, water, fire, shelter. My food is the MRE packet. My fire is a lighter and a steel rod, a ferro rod. My water is a life straw. I carry that because I don't have room in that pack for a stainless steel or metal cup to boil my water. You're not going to have time to start a fire, boil your water for 5, 10, 15 minutes so you can drink your water. If you are on the go and you need to get home, if you are in an emergency or survival situation, you need to keep moving. Stay low and keep moving. When you do that, you have this is what I do. You do not have to do this. I have a life straw, so I can suck water from anywhere and be hydrated. My shelter is an emergency blanket.
A puddle,
You were going to say something?
a stream, a creek, you can suck it out of anything. And the nice thing is, if you do have a Nalgene bottle, it'll fit in the neck. Just make sure it's big enough for a larger diameter filter to go in, if that's your choice. If it's muddy water, let's say you have to handkerchief filter it. You know, these are the kind of things you would want to think about. Not Kate. Kate's got her stuff down. I know what's up with it. Life straw, if you're just going into muddy water, folks, it's going to get gunked up. So you need to understand that will happen. So cleanliness and hopefully not clogging your filter is a major concern, right, Kate?
Absolutely. But if you have a life straw and you are in a survival situation, you are also going to be cognizant of what water you're drinking. If you are in the bush and there's a stream, you're not going to be putting your life straw in the muddy portion of the stream. But if you do come across a mud puddle and that is all you have, you can still blow out through the life straw, blow out a lot of that mud by counter blowing. Instead of sucking through, you blow through the other end.
Yep.
I have an emergency shelter, which is an emergency blanket. It's not one of those cheapy that you can just go to Walmart and spend $2. This is a shelter sleeping bag type. It costs like $15 online or at any mountaineering store. It is very thick. The one in the picture is the cheapy one. That is because that is what I grabbed at the moment when I took the picture. I also have a paracord bracelet. I do not wear the bracelet unless I am out in the bush, but most of the time I do not wear the bracelet because I think it's just tacky on me. I'm a girl and guys look better like that. I have a way to charge my phone, which is a solar charger. It is charged at all times and it is in the sun most of the time. I do this because I don't know how long I'm going to be in the bush. There's not going to be any electricity. If there's something going down in the cities and say like what's going on now, and there's all these fires, how do we know that they're not going to the electric company and taking control of the electric company and now everybody has no electricity? You have no way to charge your phone and you have no way of communication. I also have a Baofeng, a shortwave handheld walkie-talkie type device.
Yep. 2
that
meter or
I have
7.7.
I have the I think it's called the 5 VR or something like that.
Yeah, that's a 2 meter. Okay, just for the ham geeks out there is what I was trying to do. Sorry.
That's okay. I did not have that in the photograph because it was in use at the time when I took the photo. I have Kleenex for tissue, and not because I need to blow my nose or I have allergies, but you know, we all have our personal needs whenever we need to dig a hole and do our business. I have Vaseline soaked cotton balls and a compass. I have a waterproof pouch for my phone because we get a lot of rain here in the Appalachian Mountains, and you do not want your form of communication, which is your phone, to be destroyed. Now my Baofeng is waterproof, and so I do not have to worry about that. But I may be the only one out there in the bush or on the road hiking or whatever to get home. My pack, this particular leg pack, can sustain me, like I said, for at least 48 hours. I can walk for 2 days. I do not know how other people hike or if their body is trained or anything, but I can go between 12 and 20 miles in a 12-hour period. That does not sound like it's very far, but when you're on foot and you're in the mountains, that's pretty rough terrain. So 12 to 20 miles, that gets me closer to home. The closer I get to home, the more energy I'm going to have. A lot of people don't think that. They think, oh my gosh, 12 to 20 miles, you have 30 miles to go to get home. I can't do it. Every step you take, that's one step closer to home. If you can make it 12 to 20 miles, you only have 10 miles left to go.
That's very true, and a lot of people don't realize I grew up in Darbydale in Ohio, and we would go to Columbus on the west side to go visit people, and sometimes we'd leave late at night. We'd either go by bike, but 2 or 3 times we walked. And it was shocking how fast, and this is flatland, by the way. I'm a flatlander, not a highlander. Like Kate. Kate's a billy goat. You know, she loves the mountains. I dislike them, just because I don't have them up genes. The down also sucks. As a friend of mine who Baz knows can attest. But the funny part is, um, I'm not a big fan of going up and down hills just because now I'm old. Back when I was young, I was like a deer. It didn't matter. But now, it's just a matter of age. And the funny part that I'll tell you is we walked that, I think it was 12 miles. And we walked that from Darbydale to the west side on Norton Road. We walked that damn thing, and we left at midnight. We were going over to visit a friend who was getting married, and we were going to do some drinking. I think we got there at about 4 in the morning. So it was only 4 hours for a 12-mile walk. And I remember back in those days, they didn't used to sell water at the convenience stores, just soda. And so, of course, we bought a couple sodas and drank them along the way. So that's an interesting point you bring up there, Kate, and keep going, sister. I didn't want to hijack your thoughts.
No worries. I was basically done. So I just let you rattle on because it's Baz's turn.
Well, you do it, Baz, boy.
Cheers, Kate, sister. Yeah, I'm going to have a bit of context to mine because unlike Kate, I'm going to be trying to get home or somewhere safe. But mine's sort of more for the unknown elements. Let's put it that way. Obviously, I'm not going to say where I'm working, but I am in a semi-permissive environment where things can go wrong quite quickly, and always the commercial option of getting out of there isn't always the option. So I've got to sort of pack as light as possible, but also try and pack as much as I can into a bag without it looking like a big rucksack and sort of garnering any attention. So again, I'm going to be traveling or packing for a journey of unknown sort of means. So it's kind of a bit of everything. And what I'll do is I'll just go through it. As you can see on the photograph that she'll put up there, I've got a civilian day sack there. Again, quite nondescript, just grey. It has got a waterproof liner in it, so if the weather is inclement weather, my gear is not going to get that wet. I've also got waterproof bags there as well to ensure that none of the kit that can get wet does get wet. Next to that, I've got some warm kit. Again, it's all preferential. It's whoever's packing the kit packs their own kit. Again, it's just my opinion. Gloves, a warm hat, and a shamag. That's usually all I carry with me as warm kit because I'm going to be moving, so I'm generating heat anyway. Below that is quite important as well is the old spare socks. These are obviously already powdered and in a waterproof bag. There's actually 2 pairs in there. It's just I've packed them up really tightly, so I've squeezed all the air out of the bag. Because, again, it's the old soldier in me. A soldier fights on his feet. If you can't fight on your feet because your feet are knackered, then you are basically knackered. And anybody you've got with you as well that's relying on you, basically you then become a burden because you're a casualty. Also with that, because, again, I might not be able to get out commercially. I might have to go across mountains, through a jungle, through forested regions. I'm going to have to be able to not just give myself shelter, but those around me shelter as well. So what I've got in my pack is the old British Army poncho. It's like a square tarpaulin, 10 by 10, of waterproof material, and some elastic bungee cords with the hooks on to fasten it to various structures or trees and things like that. I've got 6 of those. But in there, I've got a hammock and a mosquito canopy that goes over that, along with the old Gore-Tex bivy bag that we used to get issued in the British Army, which is like a sleeping bag without the actual insulation, but it's just a Gore-Tex bag that you can get in. It's obviously thermally insulated, and it keeps the wind and the rain out of you as well. I've also got a waterproof jacket that is 100% waterproof. It's the old British Army Gore-Tex. They are pretty good, and in that is wrapped as well as the pair of the salopettes, like the Gore-Tex trousers as well, to keep me nice and toasty and warm for when it's raining in some of these areas. So that's basically my let's get out of Dodge quickly kit there. Of going sort of the wild option, as in I can't get on a plane, boat, train, car, whatever. I'm basically going on foot through the wild, the forest, the jungle, the mountains, whatever. And hopefully that should see me at least for a couple of days. All that kit is packed at the top. So if I'm going to go towards customs or anything like that, I'm coming to a checkpoint, I can easily dump that kit out, and then the rest of the kit there I should have with me is pretty normal.
Obviously, there's certain
You look
elements
like
I'll touch on again.
You look like a tourist if you pull everything
Yeah.
out on top, and that's one of the key things, folks. If you see problems, think about your packing, not just for unpacking, but also for making it look blank. Gray man. So they find all that gear back in the back. That's fine. It's not on you. Somebody else did that. And you have plausible deniability, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I don't want to look as if I've got those options. I just want to look like a normal tourist. So when they open my bag, they see the normal things that a tourist or a traveller would carry. And again, I'll come on to those. I'm carrying 50 meters of paracord with me for paracord 1,000,001 reasons, and also some spare boot laces. Again, those boot laces can be used if you're out of paracord, vice versa. I've also got the old school Ranger folding cup there, just in case I need to drink anything or mix anything up, medicines or anything like that. As well, I've got a travel wash kit. Again, this will be sort of down towards the bottom of the bag because it's one of the more the normal items to carry. Is just a travel just your normal one that you get, the smaller bottles of shampoo, toothpaste, toothbrush, along with some sun cream and some civilian mosquito repellent. Also there, I've got one of those like fold away microfiber towels as well. They're really good. One, because they're small and compact, and two is because they dry really quickly. There's a mosquito net there for over the head, just in case you're traveling. And there's a lot of mosquitoes and bugs. You can just stick that over your head and keep on moving. Also, what I carry there is what we call in the British Army is a roll of sniper tape. This is a green cloth-like tape that's got the same qualities of duct tape, but it's just a lot stronger, a lot more versatile. It goes on in the wet and all that good stuff. So we carry that everywhere. And that could be used for 1,000,001 items. It can be used for if you rip an item of clothing, you can just wrap it up quickly with the tape. It can be used to mend things.
Especially Gore-Tex. Especially Gore-Tex, because there is a waterproof element to sniper tape from the English.
Yeah. Well, touching on that, ensure that any kit that you've got is also ripstop as well. Like the Gore-Tex that we've been given is all ripstop, so it does have a hole. That hole won't run. It'll sort of stop in 0.5 centimetre or so it's not going to rip up. What else to carry there is obviously for when you're on a move. Like Kate said there, if you haven't got time to hunker down, boil some water, make an MRE or something like that, it's just food on the move. Again, we used to call this patrol munchies for when we were on patrol in places like Afghanistan and the like, is where you've just got a bottle of water ready to go, and then some energy bars or candy bars, trail mix and things like that. Anything that's high energy that can keep you moving. High energy, quick delivery. It's always good to keep those in maybe leg pockets or in a side pouch on your backpack. It's just so as you're moving, you can reach back, get it, and then smash a Snickers or something like that. Again, it's just that energy boost, sugar rush, and the like to keep you going. I also carry a pack of chewing gum for two reasons. One, it makes your breath smell nice. Shuffy, you want to try that at some point. And two, it's a good icebreaker. For those that don't smoke, chewing gum's a good icebreaker. If you offer somebody a piece of chewing gum, they're like, most people will take it out of being polite.
It also keeps your mouth moist.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, which is again important.
And barring that, you can always either put a sucker in. Kate knows this. You can put a gobstopper in, an everlasting gobstopper, or a actual sucker. Or rocks in your mouth, folks. Make sure they're clean, but you can put rocks in your mouth to keep it moist too. I found that out in French Commando School. Another thing that I'll say, I guarantee you, Baz will back me up on this. There's an old saying: black if you're slack, white if you're tight. And what that means is, if you can't take a natural function out of your anus, i.e. letting everything go, if it's tight, i.e. you can't, ashes from a fire, if they're white, if you mix that in, it will make you go to the restroom. If you're slack, the charcoal, ingest the charcoal from that fire, not while it's hot. You just hold it to the side. I mean, I can just see somebody burning themselves trying to drink white or black, But that will help you stop the dysentery. And that's all I'll say on that.
Yeah, so, I mean, sorry, go on, Kate. You had something to say?
All right. A lot of times, especially in the summer, or when your body is perspiring, if you do not have chapstick, which I recommend everyone have just a little container chapstick, but if you do not have chapstick, run your finger on the side of your nose, and there's oils on the side of your nose that you can put on your lips to keep them from sunburn, windburn, chapping, or whatever. Sorry, Baz, it's your floor. Go ahead.
No, that's every hint's good, Kate. Every hint's good. Yeah, so let's say the chewing gum I carry for a number of reasons. Keep the mouth moist, keeps your breath fresh, and again, it can be used as an icebreaker. And again, putting something in your mouth, things like that, yes, it does induce hunger because your stomach thinks I'm going to be fed. So it can be a double-edged sword. But again, once you're chewing something, it sort of keeps the mind busy. It keeps the mind off overthinking. And again, if you're a smoker as well, it's something there in your mouth to take your mind off smoking. For those that don't smoke, again, like I said, it can be used as an icebreaker where if you're a smoker, you can carry a pack of cigarettes again and offer the cigarettes out. I've got a mess tin, and it's just one of the smaller mess tins that can be closed. And inside that mess tin, there's 24-hour rations from the British Army ration pack. And we have like the bags that you put into boil, not like a bit like MREs. But have been on a number of occasions, people have said that the British ones actually taste a bit better than the American ones. Again, it's everybody else's opinion on that.
Well, I'll tell you
in there,
this.
there's also go on.
I'll tell you this, brother. The British ration packs, they have full gravy and lots of meat, and that's something that's a little different from the U.S. ration packs. You can go on, brother. I just wanted to let the Americans know.
Yeah, they actually update our rations every few years, every couple of years. So again, sort of what we're getting now is a lot more packs of tuna. No, to go again, patrol food on the go. You can just rip it open and squeeze it out of the bag. Sometimes the changes are good, sometimes the changes are bad. Obviously, they usually take out the old favourites and things like that and replace them with just shit. But again, it keeps you going. All high calorific food. In there as well, I've got a firelighting kit, and a flexible saw, the commando saws that can be used to cut wood, cut logs, garrote people, whatever, obviously, if you're garroting people, then there's something really wrong with a commando saw. But again, it's just a multitude of uses.
Right. Someone bad exactly at the wrong time, so you don't want to do that move. Yeah. Right.
Or just the girl in Starbucks when she, girl in Starbucks when she gets your order wrong.
When she doesn't get your soy latte right,
she'll say.
Well, that would be the Antifa is doing that right now.
Yeah, they're doing it for you, the comrades. Below that, I have a first aid kit. More like a blowout pack in there. There's obviously the normal stuff you'd find in a first aid kit: plasters, pins, bandage, aspirin, Brufen, obviously anti-inflammatory and all that good stuff. But also, it's also got a pack of quick clot in there. So if there's a catastrophic bleed, you can put that on, and it helps to stop the catastrophic bleed. And on top of there, I've got a combat applications tourniquet. Again, I carry one of those because what I use in the army, it's what I know. And again, you choose whatever kit you're comfortable with. I've also got what we call a housewife. Go on.
One note on plasters. What he means are Band-Aids in the U.S. So I just wanted to make sure it's just normal Band-Aids so you don't get an infection. I would suggest the ones that have the I can't think of the name of it. Kate, you're probably going to have to bail me out on this. We make Band-Aids here in the U.S., and I'm sure they do in England, that have, it's an ointment to help it from getting it infected. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Right. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. I've got all that. Man, I've got cartoon characters on mine because I want mine to look different. Little dinosaurs and cats and dogs and things on mine.
It's Neosporin. I like the little child camouflage Band-Aids because it makes me feel like I'm a little kid playing army, whatever.
You little army man.
Yeah, exactly. So anyways, I think it sounds good, so keep rolling with it, brother, because you've only gone through partial.
Yeah. Then I've got what we call a housewife in the British Army, which is basically needles, threads, material patches. There's all sorts in that little black pouch there. All sorts of different coloured threads and things like that. I've also got some thread in there that you could probably use to stitch yourself up if required. And also there is sort of a grooming kit, like the ones that you get at Christmas time in like a cracker or something like that. Nail clippers, tweezers. Again, that could be used for a myriad of items. Just above that, there's pens, a couple of pens. Maybe you want to carry a couple of pencils. Again, in places like Afghanistan and Iraq, the kids love these. Again, it can be used as an icebreaker if you need to speak to kids and things like that. You don't have any chewing gum left, you can give them a pen or something like that. Again, in some of these poorer communities, especially some of the places that I'll be encountering, the kids don't have pens and pencils, so this is a novelty to them. And obviously, it can be used, again, to be writing things down. I'm carrying a multi-tool with obviously all the attachments on that. Again, for a billion and one reasons I won't go into because I'll just be telling people how to suck eggs. And a blade, either a lockable blade or the word I'm looking for is just a straight blade. I don't like blades that can't be locked into place, especially if you're working with them, because they can fall back in on themselves and cut you to the bone. And especially if you're in an area where you don't have medical attention, or you're going to be in that area for quite a while, you're going to be prone to infection and things like that, or because of poor choice of equipment. I've got a couple of torches. One's obviously like the surefire type of torch and things like that I can just like pull out of my pocket. But the second one is one of the little Gerber recce torches, and that's just on a piece of paracord around my neck. And that's got one of those little bezels on it where you can turn, and it goes from like white light to blue light to green light to red light. again, it can be sort of advantageous, especially in low light conditions. If you need some light and you don't want to destroy your night vision, to sort of use red light or something like that.
And
I've also
if
got
you're-
a.
and
Go on.
if you're using night vision, you can actually use the
Yeah.
IR light, so that increases
Yeah.
some night vision.
Yeah.
Often.
I've got a plastic bag, and in there is like a phone charger, a travel plug, a multi-use travel plug, a solar charger, spare batteries for the torches and the GPS will come on to, and just anything that's electrical. That's obviously going to be ruined if you've got it wet. Make sure that everything's double bagged. So at least communications or charge phones. Again, the phones that we carry around nowadays, even if you don't get a signal on them, they can still be used for 1,000,001 uses. Compasses, spirit levels, signaling things, and obviously just you can use them to store documents on, fieldcraft documents, survival guides, and things like that. As long as you look after them, they're an excellent bit of kit. What else I've got there is a military grade sort of GPS to Garmin. I was issued that when I was working with a unit as a piece of trial equipment. It was for the special forces. They were giving them out, and they just said, "Look, try this kit. Come back and tell us what you feel," because again, we might be issuing this to the British Army. So I got one, and I was managed to keep it. Again, that's if you need to sort of like give people your exact location, you don't have maps and things on you or anything like that. Again, it's a good way to tell where you are. And obviously, you can load maps onto it and things like that. If it is working, obviously making sure it's ruggedized, waterproofed, and all that good stuff. Again, it can be used to great effect.
Baz, you may want to
And then
tell everybody about that app that you found.
Yeah, on your mobile phones as well. There's different apps you can get nowadays, whether you're an Android or iPhone, it's pretty much the same. You can get apps on your phone now that will give you latitude, longitude, naval sort of references, grid references, and all things like that. Some you might need to pay for, some you don't. But some of the other apps as well that are quite good, that you don't actually need a cell signal for, is one called NavMe, which is NavMii, and you can actually use that in airplane mode, so you don't need to actually have a signal. We were using it when we were doing jobs sort of in the Mediterranean, the Middle East, just driving around. It was an excellent app, and it's updated quite frequently. You can ping your location, and other people will see your location. You can also put on locations of interest as well. Things like speed cameras, that's all places that obviously don't go into this place. You can add notes and things like that. So again, the thing that we carry in our hands most of the time, and even again, these are given to SF and ops and things like that, are these smartphones. Exploit them for everything that they're worth. They're expensive bits of kit. Most of them nowadays are pretty rugged, and certainly most of them are waterproof. Fill the thing with apps that you're going to be using, and also apps that can keep the mind busy and give a level of comfort when you're sitting around doing nothing.
Baz, you're breaking up. Are you there? I think we might have lost Baz. Hold on.
Says on my phone he's still there.
Yeah, it says on mine that he's still there, but we're not hearing him.
Right.
So we'll give it a second. Couple seconds. He may have to call back.
He has a lot of good stuff in his go bag. He's got a lot of good stuff.
Oh yeah. That's a fact. And we'll keep waiting. So, Kate, do some filler on this, on your thoughts, and I'll be right back. Okay?
Well, his bag is mostly for getting out of Dodge. My bag is for day hike, or 1 or 2 days of getting home in an emergency situation. I do have a bag in my truck that if I'm stuck somewhere and I need to leave my truck, I can grab that bag and put it on, and it does not hinder my leg bag, my thigh bag. And that bag, I can be out for 72, if not longer, hours and survive and thrive and stay alive on my way home, depending on how far away I am. I usually do not get, unless I am on an assignment, I am usually not within like 150 miles away from the ranch. We do that because it's imperative to know where your supplies are located. And I think Baz is back.
I'm back. Yeah, my apologies.
Awesome. No worries.
I'm in a place where the signal's not very good. I'll try and crack on with my equipment, and I may drop out. Yeah, just go. Okay, so make sure that my passport is waterproofed and it's on my person. It's not in a bag, because if I need to dump the bag, obviously I've dumped the passport as well. So my passport's always on my person. Again, with different denominations of cash. I've got US dollars, I've got euros, I've got British pounds. I've also got a wedge of the local currency as well. And again, dollars, euros, and pounds tend to be the one that gets accepted mostly everywhere in the world. So making sure that, again, like you said, Kate, don't have denominations that are going to raise attention. Like if you're walking around with a wedge of $100 bills, for example, one, you draw attention, and it's going to make you a target, not just for scrutinization, but it's going to make you a target for people with nefarious means to see a big role. You're going to get stabbed, and they're going to take you. Yeah. I'm also carrying any cards I need, such as credit cards. I've got a credit card that's not been used before, so it's not on the radar. So if I need it, it's like my emergency credit card, then just my normal bank cards and anything like that. Also there, I've got forms of identification, driving licenses, any specialised licenses that you've got that you need to take with you. It's, again, depends. Like I've got a British, an Armed Forces veterans card. Again, that's a double-edged sword. In some places, it'll buy you a get-out-of-jail-free card, but in some places, it'll make you a target. So you've got to sort of weigh the security situation to what you're actually carrying in your pockets if you are searched.
And dump it. And
what else have we got on me? Go on.
And dump it if it's not going to give you any benefit. Be prepared to dump everything you have if it's not going to give you benefit. And that's something a lot of people on the gray man side, and don't think even the local police here in America or England, if they're not trustworthy, dump it. They don't need to know what you're up to, and they don't need to know your business.
Yeah, certainly. What else I carry is a USB stick, and on there is anything I deem critical. Now that could be, again, it's a double-edged sword. You could put on there certain medical things if you're incapacitated, any emergency contacts. Again, if you're in an area where you can have sort of sensitive details that aren't going to be exploited and things like that, just in case anything happens to you, in order to get in touch with your family or whatever. Again, that USB stick generally is empty, and I choose what to put on that before any journeys. We'll also carry, again, if you don't habla the local language, a phrase book, again, because there's nothing worse, especially for us sort of North Americans or Northern English people, is going to an area and not speaking the local language and wanting to know the local language. There's certain places that, believe it or not, language is not spoken, as in the English language is not spoken a great deal.
Yeah.
The place I'm at the minute is I was surprised that not many. I mean, I shouldn't be surprised. I've been all over the world, but generally where you go, some people do generally speak English, but there is actually places out there that English isn't taught at school, and it's not often you hear people speaking English. So if you get a phrase book, then use it, or better still, learn the local language to the best of your ability.
What
else to carry?
Go on, mate.
as a guide, just realize the common languages usually spoke nowadays. It used to be French was the common language, the most prevalent. English, German, and Spanish. Those languages are
Yeah.
pretty much universal now. And Chinese. I have to say that just because
Yeah.
of the recent
Yeah,
syllabus.
Cantonese, yeah.
Yeah. So that's all I'll
Yeah.
say.
Yeah. I've got, again, some other waterproof bags, again, for waterproofing different bits of kit. Stashing things, if you need to stash anything, obviously you want to make sure it's waterproof. And the last couple of things I carry is, I'll touch on that. I always carry a pack of cards with me for a number of reasons. One, it keeps the mind busy. There's card games you can play yourself, and just to keep your mind busy, to pass time. There's card games you can play, obviously, with each other. But also, always, again, I always learn, or I have learned, a couple of card tricks. Again, because these are icebreakers. If you need some information off a little a gang of kids or something like that. Generally, a guy of my size, I've got a beard, I'm covered in tattoos and scars. I walk up to kids, and kids usually run because I just look like a dodgy fucker. But if I walk up and I've got cards in my hand and I show these kids just a simple card trick, it sort of like draws attention from the kids and like, okay, he's not a bad man. He's showing us a trick, especially if you can make it into a funny kind of trick. It breaks the ice, and once you've broken the ice, you can ask kids for information, things like that. Can you tell me where I can find this? Whatever. So again, it's just a multitude of uses, and obviously you can use cards to write on and things like that if you need to leave messages. You've got 52 pieces of paper in your pocket. And the last thing I carry, again, it's just because it's my personal kit, is a set of earphones, because there's nothing worse than being on edge 24 hours a day, bang, 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 listening for people mooching around, people looking for your dogs barking and things like that. Is once you do find a safe place, it's just to give yourself a head change, just to get yourself out your own headspace. I put in my earphones and I put on an audiobook, or I put on some music and things like that. And it's also good as well if you don't want people to hear your conversation, is to have a set of earphones. So that's basically my kit. Like I said, it's packed in the way that it appears to appear to be a normal traveller if I get rid of certain items. Again, you can start sticking on things like that, firearms and things like, oh, you've got no guns, you need to carry this, you need to carry this. Remember, you might be crossing borders and things like that, or going through checkpoints where you aren't a local face, okay? You're a white face in a place where people are usually brown, yellow, whatever, and a white face carrying a gun, it draws attention quickly. So, again, you've got to weigh up your situation and things like that. If you're crossing borders, again, carrying a firearms, you're leaving one sort of lawful jurisdiction into another where the laws might be completely different. I know the two neighbouring countries where I'm at, they have very, very different gun laws to where I am actually at. So, again, there's pros and cons to carrying firearms. There is a defence, but, again, they're also going to be a hindrance, especially if you get caught or stopped by law enforcement, yada, 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 by anybody, and you've not had time to dump a firearm, and all of a sudden there's a foreign face with a gun, it's going to create issues. Again, you've got to look at sort of like places like Venezuela and things like that, where if you're out of place with documents that you shouldn't have on you, carrying firearms, it's going to get you in a bit of bother. So I think that's all I'll say on that matter. Again, you tailor your equipment to your needs, what you want to what you want to carry. I've always taught, I'm being taught in the army, if you don't have it, don't whinge, it's your fault. Live to learn to live without it. And that's my 10 cents worth on that. Again, people might say, what about this? Again, that's your opinion. I'm the expert on my opinion.
Draw it out for a few minutes, please.
So yeah, I mean, have you got any sort of suggestions or hints or tips on any of the kit I carry, Kate? Because again, I'm an open book. I like to hear people's different opinions and things like that on, don't carry that, carry this. This is a better piece of equipment. You can tie all those bits of equipment into this one bit of kit. Any suggestions, Kate?
Absolutely. Everyone's needs and wants and desires are different. I learned early on, do you need it or do you want it? You pack what you need. You pack what you have to have. You pack what is going to save your life. If you have any room, always remember, an ounce in the morning is a pound in the evening. So if you're carrying it,
Yep.
it's heavy.
Yep.
So, and another thing a lot of people they do not think about is in an emergency situation, a lot of people, their mind gets scrambled. No matter where you live, think about where your town is, where you shop the most at. And so if you are, say, at your local grocery store and something happens and you're being chased, or a friend of yours is being chased, or there's a riot, or whatever, know where the safe places are to go. Because a lot of people do not stop to think. They just react instead of acting.
Exactly.
Reaction is not a good thing. So you need to get to a place where you can stop, control your breathing, and think about your next move.
Exactly.
Once you've done that, you have control. You don't have to control the situation. You just have to control you.
Exactly right, Kate. You have nailed it on the head. And Baz has given some good advice, and I think he has to leave. My dog started barking. That's why I said draw it out. So here's my kit. It's a Helicon bag. I do carry a Merce. A Merce is a man purse. You know, because I'm lighting the loafers like that, right?
Is it pink? Is it pink?
No, it's actually OD. And the reason why I tell people carry something that's earth tone, and it has a nice little campfire on, and that's there's a whole section of campfire products that Helicon makes, and they're not military. I mean, they may have some webbing, but you can explain it away. Also, in my picture, I have an actual belt that I carry a G code, and it is if things are afoot. And I've had that for, I think, since the last mission I did. And I like the way you can access magazines, both pistol and rifle, and the knives that I have. I use even my folding knife. They're all cold steel, and they're all Recon Tantos, and that's just my preferred knife, unless I'm using the Hest, which is what I normally travel with, unless I'm doing a job for the government where I can travel with it. What Baz said is very correct. I've had to do that one time. I was making an entry into another country from a war zone, by the way. And as I got there, I had to dump every magazine as I crossed that border. Yep, will do. Once you get there, at the border, before I was even crossing it, and anywhere near any of the people I was working there, you know, the people that I had been with for a long time, I was exiting. On exiting, very seldom will you get stopped. I threw everything out and went across like a tourist. And they're like, what? And you can say, well, I did this, no problem. Have a great day, Baz. Once I did that, when I hit that, yep, we'll talk later, brother. Once I did that, I was all good, and there was nothing. If I did get stopped on the outbound, on the inbound, they couldn't find anything there. And I made my entry, went and caught my flight. And That's just what you have to do. So nothing you have, no matter how much money you spend on the kit, should be sacrosanct. You should be able to throw it out. And that includes waterborne entries, some common sense, folks. And we haven't seen a lot of common sense lately. I can give you one thing me, Baz, and Kate talked about was Venezuela. Those boys are doing time because they done fucked up. And if you can't dump it, don't bring it. If you're that married to it that you want to go to prison for it, that's okay. We'll see how long you last in a third world prison. And your thoughts on that, Kate?
Yeah, you're right. If you're married to it and you can't dump it, you shouldn't be on your mission.
Exactly. And the pack, honestly, Kate and Baz both said something very true. I can dump my pack. Matter of fact, in the Marine Corps, I carried an AR-7 rifle in my backpack in both the Army and the Marine Corps. Nobody ever knew. I kept my mouth shut during that time. And I had a .22 rifle with it looks like a wallet, but it's made by MTM, of .22 rounds, a couple different types of rounds. And nobody else knew. It's a 7-round magazine, and I had several of them. I used an M1 carbine. I wish I would have uploaded that so I could have explained to people. But it broke down, and it was nothing in my backpack. But if there was going to be a problem, that backpack would have been ditched. And I think I only had to use it one time, and that was just to get some game. And when I did that, nobody said anything, and that was a fait accompli. It's just one of them things. But honestly, with the way people are butt fuckers and want to Blue Falcon everybody nowadays, nobody needs to know the shit you carry unless it's on your belt. And we used to have an adage: wear your knife on the belt that holds up your pants. The belt that holds your gear up, what you put on that is the gear you're going to use for combat. If you drop that, guess what? You just have a knife on your belt. And everything else should hang off your human belt, the belt that's on your body, to hold your pants up. And it should be very bland. You should be able to say, yeah, I have a multi-tool, I have a pocket knife, I have a knife. And why do you have that? Well, I have that because I was over there teaching some people how to make fires, to do some batoning, to do whatever. You better have a reason for having it when you're entering a country. Just little things, man. I mean, and Baz is very correct. The thumb drive you have should be very vague. Even if you put stuff on it for a mission, it should be wiped. Literally wiped. But it should have certain contact information. But not enough that it's, if you're afraid on the outbound, then get rid of it. Everything should be able to.
If you have, if you have intel on a thumb drive, code it. If you have to have numbers or
anything, code it. It's like if you need a phone number, my mom's birthday is, and now you have a phone number.
Yep.
My sister's birthday is. You don't forget birthdays. But in actuality, it's a phone number.
Or you just add a couple of extra numbers and say, well, that's how many kids they have. Or, if it's 1961 or 1957, do not use the 19. Use the 57 and say, well, they have 5 kids and they had 5 kids in 7 years.
So you can remember the phone number.
Yep.
But at least
you'll have the numbers. there's always ways that you could encrypt your thumb drive with you being the only one that has the knowledge of what those numbers or what that intel means.
I love it, Kate, because you brought up that's old school knowledge. That's spycraft.
Nobody thinks old school anymore. That's what.
I know that.
That's why it's so simple.
It's so retarded that
If
they
you-
don't too, because that's gonna
If you
be.
think you've got them,
Yeah.
you've got them, because everyone is so busy trying to encrypt and trying to complicate things that they do not think simple. If you think simple, it's like looking out your peripheral vision. If you look out your peripheral vision, you can see things move, but if you look straight at it, you'll never see it move
Well, what
because
they're-
you're trying to complicate it.
Well, it's because of the digital age. I'll tell you why. We got so dependent. You and I both know this. We got so dependent on digital and electronic ELINT communications that unfortunately what we ended up doing is we forgot human intelligence. Human. And
Mm-hmm.
you and I both know, certain things on that stuff. And it's just like drop boxes. It's like everything that was always known is unknown. And you even see these morons with Antifa and all the other little groups. They're so stupid. They put it all online. And you want to get caught? That's how you do it. Because when the NSA said, oh, we're just collecting metadata, most people don't realize metadata is all data. And all they got to do is roll one person up, and then the 3-hop rule comes in. I can go 3 hops from you to everybody you know. And
Mm-hmm.
they also forgot that Facebook was data mining. That's why it was built, folks. I'm sure Kate, if Baz was here, would tell you the same thing. As long as you throw enough muff fake up so they really don't know how and what you think, you're fine. But most people don't do that. They just put their whole shit out there for everybody to see. And
If people don't really learn
How to communicate, learn the old school way of hobos. A hobo, if you don't know what it is this day and age, are men and women who used to hop trains. They were homeless and they lived on train cars and they would go from place to place. They had their own code to communicate with other hobos on who to go to because this woman will feed you. Don't go to this house. They have a gun, etc. I have all of those codes. If it is not just hobo codes. Watch gangs. Watch prisons. Prison men. It's not as much women, but in hardcore prisons where men are, they have their own code. And I'm not talking the verbal code. I'm talking the hand codes.
yep.
watch
The codes. I'm not saying walk into a prison and say, hey, Mr. Prison Warden, can I walk into your prison and watch your prisoners? He looked at you like you had 3 heads and you were stupid. But there are programs, there's YouTube videos, there's things that you can study, that you can watch. Learn those codes. Teach them to your family. So if there's at any time, know it like it's second nature. When I'm with my team, we do have to communicate verbally. We watch each other's body language because we know what the other person is thinking and saying just by the way their stance is.
Well, I also put it this way. The eyes are the window to the soul. And Kate, you've known me well enough and long enough to know if my eyes move a certain way, if I'm rolling them or something, or I'm looking over somewhere, you look. You know there's something that caught my eye. And the same thing with hands. It could be just it's just like how I busted the one guy nobody could ever find in Indonesia when they killed those fuckers. I was like, hey, will you get a picture with me? He's like, oh yeah, he thinks he's all cool, Leo. And I just put my finger out with my thumb extended like a little palm gun. And I was like, this is the bitch. I got him. And he didn't even notice that. It was from my right hand. I had my other hand up with a cigarette. And it's about distraction. Everything is about distraction, including. Here's the thing that a lot of people aren't seeing right now. We had the distraction of COVID for a while from the Chinese. And they're also not seeing the Chinese. It's not just Soros, Alexander Soros and them who are funding this. The Chinese are. When they said it was foreign funded, they're not fucking around. Run with it for a second. Dogs are about to go nuts.
Not a problem. You caught me on something that I'm really not that familiar with on purpose. But yes, I believe that COVID-19, that this supposed virus and this epidemic is a distraction for something different. And I find it interesting that with the impeachment trials, the impeachment farce, when that ended, COVID started. Well, what are we being distracted from? Well, now that COVID is taken its course and people are seeing right through it, now we have all of these riots and all of the garbage and crap that's going on with that. What's the underlying thing? Well, oh my gosh, the cops killed this man. Well, you know what? It's not about that anymore. What is really going on? What is the distraction?
And what do we need to be doing to prepare because of the distraction?
Exactly.
What's really going on?
Think about it. What is going on? Well, oh my gosh, Kate, there's nothing going on. You're going down a rabbit hole. You don't know what you're talking about. You're wearing a tinfoil hat. Well, you know what? I've been wearing a tinfoil hat for many years, and that's because I've lived it through experience.
And you've seen
experience, knowledge.
And you've seen it come true. Here's the funniest part about this is you and I and Baz, we've all traveled the same road for a while. And normally we'll figure it out to be correct. And what I see is there are no coincidences. You, me, and Baz all have said on numerous shows, there's never a coincidence. Right now what I see is that this is just nothing more than, and this is what I'll say, you don't have to agree with me, but I think if, to follow a brother of mine who I know, who I trust, he said this is not about the black community anymore. It became about the communists. And they already knew we were weak economically. So the Chinese are too. So how do you weaken our economy? Remember, before COVID came out, this is a real deal. The Hong Kong folks were rioting legitimately against the Chinese government. And so what did the Maoists here in America, because all these people that think Antifa are Marxist, they're fucking morons. Because honestly, they're Maoist. And Maoist should scare the American people, but it doesn't, because the media is keeping it quiet. And they're still calling it a protest. These are fucking riots designed to disrupt the number one hiring people out there, our small business. And these communist fuckers are destroying what's left. The shops that could open. Notice the boarded up shops, they weren't putting on fire. But they did every small business, and then of course, you know, they looted banks and Target and whatnot. But that was all for show. They focused on small business. And black owned small business. And so how's it still about a guy that got his neck kneed on? It's not anymore. And you're starting to see a lot, I've seen it several times, where black people are coming up and saying, hey, you're not with us. And there was two white girls painting Black Lives Matter tagging the building. Probably it was a McDonald's, if I remember right. Tagging it to be burned. Probably not an actual McDonald's that's corporate, but probably one of their, no, what do they call that? Where they own it, but they had to buy the rights to it. Gosh darn it. I can't remember what they call that. And so they're tagging it, and the woman's like, "You making us look bad. Stop it. You're not black, and neither are you." Her little Overwatch. Because they always travel in pairs at least. And
Right.
so that's some warning signs, folks. This is being done by design. There are no coincidences. Your thoughts on that? And I guess we'll close this out here shortly.
Yeah, because I'm going to need to go here pretty soon. My thoughts on that is, do I think this is planned? I think it was an opportunity that was taken advantage of, and it has gotten out of hand. Is it going to continue? That I don't know. Are we ready and prepared? We're as ready and prepared as we can be for this type of scenario. Have we planned for this scenario? Yes, we have. We've planned for just about everything that we can think of. EMP attacks, aliens, anything, zombies, every Halloween we go out and shoot zombies. But have we planned for this scenario? Yes, we have. But I don't think anyone is, it's like death. If you know someone is dying, you can emotionally prepare for the death, but you're really not totally prepared until or unless it actually happens.
I agree with you, and I'll just close it out with this. There was a guy that, I think it was Tim Pool. It might not have been. I can't remember who it was. He stated, this has never happened. No, it wasn't. It was Sticks Hexenhammer. He stated, there has not been in modern time the White House being attacked. And he's wrong. And I'll tell people where to look to find it. G. Gordon Liddy, in his book Will, and he came in under the Nixon administration, although he was working for DOJ, I think, at the beginning, and then went a little clandestine. He talked about, it was after Nixon was elected, I believe it was 68, so it was between 68 and 72 when Nixon resigned. And I think they're trying to force Trump to resign. The Weather Underground and all those little Antifa, which is what they are, they're communists, so it's the same thing. It just rebranded. What they ended up doing was surrounding the White House. And Liddy in the book Will, if I could remember the page, and I used to remember it, but my memory is not as sharp as it is anymore, I'd tell you the exact page. The thing that's funny is they had machine gun nests set up by Marines and Army in the White House in the hallways in case the communists got in. And now we know we've been infiltrated by the Chinese through their Confucian schools, through their people we've allowed in, and we're throwing them out, by the way. A lot of people don't know this. We're throwing these fuckers out because we know if you're leaving the CCP, it's not all the Chinese. People need to also remember this. It's the Communist Chinese Party, Chinese Communist Party. And those folks are coming in to undermine our nation. And when somebody said, oh, there's foreign source, they wanted to try to play like it was Russia doing it. No, it's not. It's the fucking Chinese. Because Russia, Putin's not happy at this point. Because you think of China, the old BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. That old monetary union they were trying to do for a minute. No, they're not doing it now, and there's a reason for this. Is because China fucked everybody. They put the Rona, it's out everywhere, and they didn't give a fuck if they infected Russia. And the one thing they did though was stop all internal flights, and they let everybody else fly everywhere they wanted. That's why the West and the East Coast were hit hardest. And anyway, so we'll see how this shakes out, but it's not. China knew they were strapped, and then that's why they're now trying to take over the Hang Seng from Hong Kong, their monetary union, and they're trying to just take that over. And Trump realized that. He was like, and I'm not a big fan of Trump and stuff, but anyways, he's doing what he can. Unfortunately, these times are, I just hope he has good advisors. Anyways, with that being said, I'm gonna finalize this show. And what I'll do is I will give the outro. Thanks to Baz and Kate for being here. And the outro is from Axion Ghost, my brother. And it's Nightmare on 5th Street. And that's all I'll say. Talk to you after the show there, Kate. And thank you guys for sitting on the big orange couch. I'll slowly raise the drawbridge as you guys meander on out after having your coffee, tea, soda, or adult libation. With that being said, shove out.